back to another episode of Woodburn Solving Your China Business Pain Points. My name is Christina Kohler-Colucci. I'm the head of business advisory at Woodburn Accountants and Advisors. And in today's episode, we are going to be looking at maintaining good standing status in China. As a foreign professional planning on starting a business in China, it is critical that your entity maintains a good standing status in its place of origin. The Chinese government will require a certificate of good standing from you before letting you register your company in the country. And I mean that they need a certificate of good standing from your shareholder, and they need background information from your shareholder in order to allow you to set up your entity in China. But it is also important for your Chinese business that throughout your China journey, you maintain a good standing status. This is fundamental, really, for the future success of your business. The reason why this is relevant really comes into play when you are looking for lenders, investors, vendors who may request a certificate of good standing before doing any type of business with you. Now, a certificate of good standing is a document that's issued by the Ministry of Commerce, who has actually incorporated your entity. Okay, so when you formed your entity in China, it was done with the Ministry of Commerce. They've got all the data and information within the government system, and you have to every year file your audits, file your annual inspections, and all of that with them. They also have media records available highlighting if there have been any court cases or anything like that, or complaints against the company. Okay. Now, the certificate of good standing, it serves as an official proof that your entity in China is validly formed, that it still exists, and that it is in good standing according to the Ministry of Commerce's records. This just means that that certificate of good standing is current and actual as of the date that you have requested it from the Ministry of Commerce. Okay. Like I said, the company's registry in China records all the entities that have been officially registered for business in mainland China, and it is managed by the State Administration for Industry and Commerce. The AIC is the authority in China responsible for legislation concerning the administration of entities in China. So, like I said, if you wish to incorporate your business in China, you must file the proper formation documents with the local Ministry of Commerce authorities. The government then essentially grants the right to conduct business as a statutory business entity with all of the advantages it then brings in terms of fapiao invoicing and operating, etc. Now, to maintain the right of good standing, the entity must comply with a series of laws and regulations, and these include appointing a registered agent, making timely filings of required forms, like for the annual inspection, paying fees, taxes, among other things. And as long as the corporation, the entity, complies with all of these requirements, it is designated as being in good standing on the state's records and keeps all the rights and privileges of doing business as a statutory entity in China. However, there are foreign invested companies that are careless about their compliance obligations and can lose their good standing status and be considered delinquent, void, suspended, or even dissolved. Losing this status can seriously damage your ability to do business. The Chinese government has a long history of cracking down on foreign businesses whenever there are tensions between the China and the West, or when the country is going through tough economic times. And hence why it is important that you make sure your company's compliance is done and that you are following it and you're aware that it's being followed. There are a few things that foreign companies can do to avoid losing their good standing status. The first step is to make sure that your entity in China is licensed to do the business it is doing in China and that it is current on its capital obligations. It's important that your company is properly licensed in every city in which it is doing business. If you are registered as an import-export company and you now own a factory, you should make the necessary changes within your business scope to upgrade from a trading entity to a manufacturing entity. This goes as well if the current location is different from the one recorded on your business license. Your operational office should be the registered office address that is recorded within the Ministry of Commerce's system. Okay. You also want to make sure, as another step, that you are doing everything right according to your employees. China's employment laws are complicated, they're localized, they're pro-employee, and you've got to make sure that you've got the right employment agreements. You've got to make sure that all the payroll functions are working properly, that you've got the social insurance and housing fund accounts set up, that the income tax is being paid on behalf of all the employees, etc. You may want to do let me rephrase that. You may want to do HR audits to identify if there are any problems, just so that it prevents you from losing your good standing status. Taxes are another key area for compliance, and one that the government authorities tend to go after first, meaning that it's very likely that they will do a tax audit before discriminating your level of good standing. So they'll do a tax audit in regards to your entity to make sure everything is in order, but you should have already done something that was suspicious enough for them to warrant that you are required to do a tax audit. There are many other areas that you should really be looking at as well in terms of IP registrations, and that includes trademarks, patents, copyrights, etc. You also want to look at doing due diligence on the third parties that you're collaborating with, whether it's suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, retailers, e-commerce platforms, etc. Okay, so what I want to just emphasize in terms of maintaining a level of good standing is that if you are looking for investors, if you are looking to work with big vendors, they're going to do their due diligence on you, and they may request to see a certificate of good standing from the Ministry of Commerce. And you just want to make sure that that's always going to be valid. That's always going to be indicating good standing versus anything negative. Some of you may not even be aware that this certificate exists, but it is becoming more and more common as companies are being acquired or new investors are coming into the structure. If you are struggling with this pain point, we're going to provide you a link to our diary. You can set up a free call with us where we can then discuss how we may be of help to you. If you enjoyed this video, please do press the like button or share it. It helps us to help more people who may be struggling in the Chinese market. And if you're looking to learn more about what we do, head on over to woodburnglobal.com and you can find a whole list of our services. Have a fantastic day. Take care and goodbye.